Welcome to Warn. Today's news headlines are: Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Washington and met with President Donald Trump on Monday. It is easy to see why the president is paying attention to this Indian leader. He is clearly in the same league of world leaders as China's Xi Jinping, Turkey's Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Germany's Angela Merkel. Indian-American economic and commercial involvement is plain to see, although Trump's emphasis on trying to sell India military equipment seems to be something of a misemphasis. The United States is India's best customer for its exports. America is the fourth largest supplier of India's imports, China is first. Given America's continuing involvement in its now 16-year-old war in Afghanistan, it is necessary for Trump to be aware of the geopolitics of South Asia in his interactions with Modi. India continues to see Pakistan as its primary enemy in the region. In general, the United States continues to see some of Pakistan's government and military tie-in to the Taliban, the nominal opponent of the Ashraf Ghani government that we support, as unhelpful. Some would even say Pakistan is indispensable to the Taliban. But America is obliged to watch Pakistan closely for a variety of reasons. There is also to keep in mind the simmering rivalry between two of the behemoths of Asia, China and India, both with populations more than 1 billion. There was war in the past, and continuing sometime incidents between them, most recently Tuesday in Sikkim. Xi and Modi also have big ambitions, for themselves and for their countries. In seeking to sell India more weapons, Trump is not splashing around in the baby pool and should take great care to weigh whatever he promises to Modi in the context of South Asian and overall Asian politics. That said, his developing a relationship with Modi is very much worth the trouble. Chinese President Xi Jinping swore in Hong Kong's new leader on Saturday with a stark warning that Beijing won't tolerate any challenge to its authority in the divided city as it marked the 20th anniversary of its return from Britain to China. Police blocked roads, preventing pro-democracy protesters from getting to the harborfront venue close to where the last colonial governor, Chris Patten, tearfully handed back Hong Kong to China in the pouring rain in 1997. Xi said Hong Kong should crack down on moves towards Hong Kong independence. Any attempt to endanger China's sovereignty and security, challenge the power of the central government, or use Hong Kong to carry out infiltration and sabotage activities against the mainland is an act that crosses the red line and is absolutely impermissible, Xi said. He also referred to the humiliation and sorrow China suffered during the First Opium War in the early 1840s that led to ceding Hong Kong to the British. Hong Kong has been racked by demands for full democracy and, more recently, by calls by some pockets of protesters for independence, a subject that is anathema to Beijing. Xi's speech was his strongest yet to the city amid concerns over what some perceive as increased meddling by Beijing, illustrated in recent years by the abduction by mainland agents of some Hong Kong booksellers and Beijing's efforts in disqualifying two pro-independence lawmakers elected to the city legislature. It's a more frank and pointed way of dealing with the problems, said former senior Hong Kong government advisor Lau Su-kai on Hong Kong's cable television. The central government's power hasn't been sufficiently respected, they're concerned about this. The second launch of China's new generation Long March 5 carrier rocket failed Sunday, dealing a blow to the country's ambitious space aspirations. Carrying an experimental communication satellite, China's largest rocket lifted off at 7:23 p.m. local time, 7:23 a.m. ET, toward clear skies from the seaside Wenchang Space Launch Center on the southern Chinese island of Hainan. But 40 minutes later, the state-run Xinhua news agency flashed a headline declaring the launch a failure without providing any details. Dubbed Chubby 5 for its huge size, 5 meters in diameter and 57 meters tall, the LM-5 rocket is designed to carry up to 25 tons of payload into low orbit, more than doubling the country's previous lift capability. Xinhua initially tweeted, "Number breaking, China's launch of Long March 5 Y2 carrier rocket fails." It then tweeted, "Anomaly was detected during its flight and further investigation will be carried out." Before the launch attempt, Joan Johnson-Fries, a professor at the U.S. Naval War College and an expert on China's space program, said the rocket would give China heavy lift capabilities needed to develop a large space station. More generally, the LM-5 provides China with capabilities to reach destinations previously out of reach, including interplanetary, she said. Criticizing China for constructing a road inside Bhutanese territory, residents here have stated that this action by Beijing could lead to war and cautioned the latter not to transgress Bhutan's territorial integrity and sovereignty. What China is doing on the borderlines is very risky and it encourages war. India is just trying to warn them that China should respect Bhutan's sovereignty. India is fully supported by Bhutan, Bhutanese local Chundu Sinjai told ANI. Sinjai further stated, Bhutan is a small country, but no one can invade our territory because the topography and geography is such, that invasion is nearly next to impossible. Another Thimphu resident Cheltram Dorji said, I think China, India, and Bhutan should come together and find a solution to the issue. Indo-Bhutan share a really good relationship. Bhutan is small country, not proper way to acquire forcefully. Choki Wangmo, another Bhutanese local said. Echoing similar sentiments, one more Bhutanese local Namgai Dorji said, India and Bhutan are having good relationship since 1961. India is supporting our government in every aspect. Locals in Bhutan are severely critical about China proposing to construct the road inside Bhutanese territory, which they say is a direct violation of the agreements and affect the process of demarcating the boundary between the two countries. Bhutan had last month issued a démarche to the Chinese envoy in India, asking Beijing to restore the status quo in the Doklam area where Chinese soldiers tried to unilaterally build a road towards their army camp in the Zombori area. China, who refer to Doklam as Donglang, was part of Chinese territory since ancient times and it doesn't belong to Bhutan. Locals in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, Pak, have launched a massive agitation against political and military leadership of Pakistan, for trying to convert Pak into a terror factory by creating terror camps. Residents of Hazara in Pak are demanding freedom from Pakistan and have accused the civilian leadership of Pakistan and army of nurturing terrorism in their territory by giving safe havens to them. Pressure on Pakistan has been building up, but civilian leadership in Islamabad is indifferent and continues to support and oil terror machinery in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The protests are likely to intensify in the coming days as, according to reports, there are estimated 50 terrorist training camps still operating in the region. Most of these camps belong to banned outfits like Lashkar-e-Toiba, Lashkar-e-Jhangvi and even ISIS. These camps are backed and aided by Pakistan military and inter-service intelligence. Militants trained here are sent to Kashmir, Afghanistan, and even Europe. Meanwhile, the international community has accused Pakistan of providing safe havens to terrorists, and most of the terror groups are located in the federally administered tribal areas, FATA, along the border of Afghanistan and Pakistan. We urge Pakistan Army and Prime Minister with folded hands to not to send terrorists here. People of all religions coexist here in this land of peace. Bomb blasts are taking place inside religious places, mosques, places where Hindus and Shias worship, said Liaquat Hayat Khan, senior leader Jainap. The fourth test of Nirbhay, the long-range subsonic cruise missile that is designed and developed by the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, failed on December 21 last year because of use of faulty material, said Chairman of the DRDO and Secretary of Department of Defense R&D.S. Churstoffer here on Saturday. Speaking to the Hindu after inaugurating a workshop on indigenous lithium-ion batteries for special applications, hosted by the Naval Science and Technological Laboratories, NSTL, the DRDO chief said, the fourth test of the missile took place from the Launch Complex 3 of Integrated Test Range, ITR, at Balasore in Odisha, and after lift-off the missile developed snags over one of its wings, started to bank on one side and veered dangerously. We had to activate the self-destruct mechanism to kill it mid-air. On investigation, it was found out that the vendor who manufactured it used recycled material for one of the key components that operates the wings of the missile, and that was the reason why it failed. The strength of the recycled material was not sufficient to operate the parameters. Though the vendor followed all specifications, the use of recycled material was not disclosed. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan reiterated Turkey's goal of self-sufficiency in defense as he launched a new warship on Saturday. Speaking at the launch of the TCG Burgazada, an indigenously produced corvette, at the Istanbul Naval Shipyard, Erdogan said Turkey would soon be in a position to make our own aircraft carriers. Turkey, especially, cannot stall on defense industry and military issues because of our strategic geographical location. The president has previously said Turkey's defense industry will be self-sufficient by 2023, the centenary of the Declaration of the Republic. The Burgazada is the third Ada-class corvette produced under the Milgem project. The first was the Haybalida, launched in 2008. The ships, which are named after the Prince's Islands off Istanbul, are designed for search and rescue, patrol, and anti-submarine warfare duties and are armed with a 76mm gun, missiles and torpedoes, and carry a Seahawk helicopter. The ships have a displacement of 2,400 tons, a maximum speed of more than 29 knots, 33 miles an hour, and a range of 3,500 nautical miles. Erdogan also performed a welding ceremony on the TCG China-Bhutan, another Milgem corvette that is due to be completed in May next year. Defense Minister Fikret Isaac said Turkey was among the top 10 nations in military ship production. Turkey's domestic production rate in the defense industry increased to 60% from 24%, he said. Reducing dependence on foreign arms imports is a key goal of the Turkish defense industry. Also present at the ceremony, Prime Minister Binali Yildirim said the government had invested $30 billion in the defense industry over the last 14 years. Turkey is in a fire circle and many oppressed nations wait for our support, he said. Thus, we have to improve our defense and deterrence capability. When we do that, we need to use local and national resources. The U.S. Air Force reported Thursday that its new Block 5 variant of the MQ-9 Reaper drone has performed its first combat mission against Islamist terrorists. The recent 16-hour sortie, flown June 23 in support of Operation Inherent Resolve, involved the unmanned aerial vehicle dropping a GBU-38 Joint Direct Attack Munitions bomb and firing two AGM-114 Hellfire missiles in support of ground forces in the Middle East. Operation Inherent Resolve is the U.S. military name given to operations against ISIS fighters. Working in conjunction with Coalition Joint Terminal Attack Controllers, other MQ-9 aircraft and crews, our air crews employed two Hellfires and one GBU-38, Major Dan, the 432nd Wing Director of Operations, said in a press release. All three strikes met the ground force commander's intent and destroyed two defensive fighting positions, two vehicles, and one mortar tube. The Block 5 MQ-9 has an enhanced electrical and communications systems that allows the use of better software and hardware upgrades for future. The variant also features the new Block 30 cockpit that required different training for aircrews on the ground. The new MQ-9 aircraft arrived at Creech Air Force Base in Nevada late February and quickly received modifications, such as changes to the battery cables and enhanced generator control units. In May, these MQ-9s were flown locally at Creech AFB to test airworthiness and then shipped to the area of responsibility for Operation Inherent Resolve. Thanks for watching. I hope you like this news. Please share your views in comment box. Please like and share this video. Press subscribe button and bell for auto update to you regarding my channel World Action and Reaction News. Warn.